Namaste. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make hummus from scratch. Everyone has their own preference of what makes a good hummus, and I'm going to be showing you mine. And no matter what your ideas of what makes a good hummus, homemade is always best. And so this is a nice starting recipe to then experiment with later on, and I'll give you some ideas of other things you can change to just add an extra zing and magic to your hummus. But for a basic recipe, we've got whole tahini, organic. We've got some chickpeas, which I soaked overnight and then cooked this morning. We've got filtered water that's very cold, straight from the fridge. Lemons, garlic cloves, cumin seeds, mortar and pestle for the cumin seeds, Australian extra virgin olive oil, and Himalayan salt. And that's the basics of all you need to make something magical. So if you're using dried chickpeas, soak them overnight, or if you're doing it through the day for 6 to 8 hours, just in cold water. And then just put them in a pot and just boil them until they're so soft that you can squish them between your fingers. I use a pressure cooker because it only takes like 13 minutes. But if you don't have one, just use a regular pot and keep an eye on it. And if you're using tinned chickpeas, then also cook them, and I'll explain that in the recipe notes. I'm using a Fruit Ninja, like just a high-powered blender. You can also use a food processor if you've got one. So the first step is to just squeeze in all your lemons. I'm using 2 lemons because I like it nice and zesty and zingy, but you can use only 1 if you prefer, or even more. Just it's fun to experiment and to find your flavor and proper blend. And after the lemon, we're going to throw in the garlic and about a teaspoon or so of salt. And then we're going to put this in to blend and leave it for about 10 minutes or so, and that'll help mellow out the garlicky flavor. So I'm going to use cumin seeds in this recipe, but if all you have is cumin powder, that's cool as well. But I'm going to show you how to make the most delicious cumin powder you've ever had. So you get your cumin seeds, you light the stove, preheat a skillet or frying pan on there, and then after that's heated up, just put a sprinkle of seeds on. And just keep moving these seeds about on the stove, and it'll just freshen them up and get them all crispy and full of new flavor. So now that we've freshened up the cumin seeds a bit, just scrape them into your mortar and pestle, or if you have a herb grinder or a coffee bean grinder, for instance, you can also use that. And then you want to pulverize them into nice little ground up pieces. And you bring out all those nice fresh aromas and flavors too. So next, you add to the blend about half a cup of tahini. I use a little bit more because I love tahini. And we'll pop that in to blend. Next, add about 2 to 4 tablespoons of cold water from the fridge and the chickpeas. You might need to take it off and give it a stir every so often, and maybe add a little bit more cold water as well, because we want it nice and smooth and creamy in consistency. The final step is to add about a teaspoon of the cumin seeds that you crushed up, or the cumin powder that you have, and a good dash of olive oil. So we've finished blending it all together now. We can scrape it into whatever container we want to keep it in. And you want it to be just a little bit of a kind of runnier texture than what you'd think, because it sets and gets a little bit thicker in the fridge. So there you have it. Maybe the best hummus you've ever had in your life. Tastes awesome. So you can now add, some good olive oil on top to serve, with maybe some sumac or some roasted sesame seeds, sprinkle of fresh parsley out of the garden. I also like to blitz in a handful of Kalamata olives and a handful of jalapenos. That can also make a really tasty dip for your corn chips or something. And also there's other options like boiling some beetroot or roasting some beetroot, blending that in, roasted garlic instead of fresh garlic. Basically the possibilities are endless, and it's really fun to experiment and to also adjust the ratios of this hummus that suits you. So yeah, enjoy.